Hello everyone. I did some more testing in standard on the assassin version of my current experimental build, I guess. And I found out some interesting things. So I had two problems previously. One was too much lag. This was caused by mainly by Carcass Jack having the extra gore on it, and it was just, it was just not really helping. Um, it just, yeah, turns out like extra gore is a pretty big nerf to clear speed and safety on a cast on crit build. The other thing was the life pool. It was around not much, which is not much, especially for like a level 92 character. Um, and I figured out a bunch of things, a bunch of interesting combinations of items. So I got like a bunch of like rare spell daggers and one-handed swords with varying levels of like attack speed and critical strike chance and global crit, whatever might be useful. And I set up my characters so that nothing important was going on in the gem sockets on my weapons, so that I could switch between different sets and compare them to each other, and like comparing different extremes. The most hilarious one, even though not too useful, but kind of interesting as sort of a side choice, is Prismatic Eclipse with 3 green sockets, which was someone suggested in the comments. Um, this gives like 36, 72% global attack speed, and with all my flasks up and Val Haste, I have like 5 attacks per second with this. This is really good for getting around with Whirling Blades too. Is, however, not that great for my energy shield pool, of course. But I left it in there just because it's kind of nifty to be able to switch to it and just get to places faster, and also like get my power charges up faster. And then the tankiest version that I could find was getting an, skipping, discarding the idea of going dual wield and just equipping a shield, and then a one-handed sword. This one is really good for energy shields, pretty much crap for anything else. It gives me mana leech, intelligence, reduced maximum life. None of these really matter. A little bit of accuracy, which is okay, I guess. But it wasn't benefiting the damage of cast on crit, and it's relatively slow too, just 1.3 attacks per second. It still works reasonably well and is relatively safe. It's just not great for clear speed. And I was trying to just maximize the damage by doing stuff like equipping a Skull's Bridle, and spell daggers with like 80% global crit and stuff like that, and some spell damage. But then, of course, same problem as before, low energy shield. And then I was going through the list of unique one-handed swords and axes and found this thing, which I had seen before but never really found a good use for. But as it turns out, it has 80% increased damage while you have no frenzy charges, and then it forces frenzy charges on you. It generates them. So this is 80%, global damage, whatever, gets applied to everything. So this is typically higher as what you'd find on a spell dagger, and then it does also provide a little bit of global critical strike multiplier. So 2 useful things, and all you really have to do to make it work is you get 3 pacifism jewels. So all in all, this ended up costing me 4 skill points. 2 here, 1 here, 1 here. I also spec'd out other frenzy charges, obviously, that I had, and that ended up being exactly the amount of points I needed for this. On top of that, I don't actually remember what else I got rid of, but I had to get a little bit of reduced mana reserved here and here, just so that I could run my discipline with 2 other curses. Because I now have a Cospri's Will 6-linked. This baby cost me 11 Exalted in Standard. It's about 3 in Prophecy. And I got really lucky and managed to 6-link it within like 300 fuses. So I have Temporal Chains, Vulnerability, and Warlord's Mark socketed right now. Those are the most beneficial ones that I can find. Vulnerability, because it provides extra physical damage, which all my damage is physical. And then it provides extra damage over time, which applies to the poison once the physical gets converted over to poison and turns into chaos damage. However, Temp Chains is also really good because it makes the poison last longer, and it has a very good defensive effect of slowing everything around me down, which kind of makes up for the fact that my build got a little bit slower. It is just overall very, very useful. On top of that, I added a Withered Totem with some faster casting, which slows enemies down even further and increases the chaos damage. So once something's been poisoned, and especially if I need to run away, I can throw the totem at it. Acts as like a little bit of a decoy, slows them down further, more chaos damage, good stuff. So with the Ephemeral Edge and the shield, 6.7k, but the damage is kinda crap. And then with this, I'm still at 5.7k. So the 50% increase on this is 1k energy shield, which is quite surprising. But yeah, this seems to be the best overall combination. If I need more energy shield, I have this in here still with the same gems in there, so that I could switch to it if I needed to. But with this setup, I was able to complete 2 tier 12 maps without ever getting one-shotted. So, doing pretty good there. Overall, this makes the build a lot more balanced. Should probably switch out this amulet for an Eye of Chayula and get like another rare diamond ring with some extra critical strike chance. However, I haven't been stun locked yet, which is kind of surprising considering that, you know, I'm CI. And so far, stuff has been, yeah, it's all been pretty easy. Like, the damage is good, the character is now tanky enough not to randomly blow up, and on top of that, maps with the hexproof mod on them, they are now just a, you know, purely a pack size boost without any downside whatsoever because of Cospri's Will. And this also turns into a 7-link because everything gets cursed, nothing cannot be cursed, and you know, I don't need to use a poison gem. Eventually, if I level up a little bit, which I'm not sure I'm going to do on this character, I'm pretty sure I'm just going to just create a new character on Prophecy and make that an assassin. I didn't originally want to make another assassin because, you know, I've been there, done that. Wanted to try a new ascendancy and made a build with the Slayer, which is kind of working, but it just has less skill points, and it doesn't have these cool options an assassin gets of like running a really low crit base weapon in a cast on crit build. I should actually show this, I guess. the crit chance is with this current setup. So let's kick in curses. I'm using Warlord's Mark and temp chains because that's safe. However, actually, I don't really need safety here. Might as well use vulnerability. Even though I actually don't really need extra damage in here as well. Alright, so you can tell Whirling Blades could be faster. This is a bit of the downside of the current setup. I'm probably going to work on that a little bit, find out how to optimize that. If I switch up to the other set, to the Prismatic Eclipses, you can really tell the difference. Like, this is pretty fast. And of course I have my flasks and my Val Haste too. And you can see, I guess, is super fast. And in an area like this, I would just use this set because there's no danger really from just having 4.3k. It's more than enough for something like this. So this would be really useful, like when you're farming prophecies and it takes you back to the start of Merciless difficulty for some stupid reason. You just want to get rid of them. Or generally, if you roll a map that doesn't have any extra damage mods on it, you can also use this to be faster. And then if you need a little bit more tankiness and more damage, and also once you have your Val Haste and your flasks up, you can use this and you're still pretty fast. It's just, that's the part that had to suffer a little bit for getting that damage. And stuff dies really fast. So that reflect mob just there. Let's see, I do have Immortal Call, cast when damage taken, increased duration. And I do generate endurance charges with Warlord's Mark, which also provides good leech. And this basically allows me to not worry about reflect mobs. However, if I switch over to the faster set, that's no longer the case, so that's kind of something I have to watch out for. But actually, I totally forgot, I came here to show you what the critical strike chance is. So, I need to get some power charges up. There we go, 93% with a fucking 5.5 base. So I'm almost hitting the cap, and this is something you can really only do with Assassin. And this is sort of, enables this weird combination right here. This isn't necessarily the best in slot though. Like, this is a really cheap unique, it just happens to sort of fit in there, which is nice. Because, it's like 4 chaos for 80% increased damage. And 30 crit multi. Eventually it would be better to get one with a higher crit chance and higher attack speed. You can get like up to 2 attacks per second and like over 8 crit. With that you could probably remove this. This adds plus 1.9%, so basically 2%. So if you just had 7.5, you could get rid of the gem a little bit more, so you're definitely hitting the cap. And 2 attacks per second, you'd be whirling blading faster, more like which would be really really good for clear speed, and you would lose the 80% damage on this, but for the 4 points I've spent on getting the jewels, with 1 extra point I could just fill out this wheel, and this would be like 71%, I think, something like that. So, you know, it's just slightly better. It's 1 less point and 9% more damage. But with the increased attack speed, higher crit chance, you could then put CoC effect in here or increased AoE, depending on what you're doing, and you'd get more out of that as well. So this is not the best in slot for this for sure, but it is really nice to have something very efficient for basically no currency, like at the most 4 chaos, 5, just because, you know, you gotta get the jewels as well. And you know, there are interesting options. I didn't want to spend too much on like great one-handed swords, but there's a bunch of interesting options. This one has a fair amount of extra attack speed, and it has a lot of global critical strike multiplier, which ultimately is going to be the best way of scaling the damage. And then it has, you know, enough critical strike chance to reach the cap for crits, but you can also get up to 2 attacks per second. These have less global critical strike multiplier, but again, you can get enough crit on them. I think that is everything I wanted to mention. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that for now. This is Dread signing out. Take care, guys. Have fun. Thanks for watching.